down to business. So, rapid relocation program is open. It is open because after we all woke up and we're at war, a lot of you guys wanted rapid relocation. It is open. There are two levels, the same way there always is. On the standard tier, there are only two places left, right? So there are only two apartments left. Those are two-bedroom, fully furnished apartments. Okay. The luxury tier, there's only one beachfront villa left, and so the beachfront villa is a three-bedroom standalone house on the beach in a resort with all the amenities of a resort. The two-bedroom apartments are directly across the street from the beach, so you still kind of get like a beach thing going, but you're not on the beach, and you definitely don't have the amenities of a resort, right? So fully furnished, all the amenities are included. The only utility that you have on the standard tier is electric. All right, so of course there's AC and all of that, and mosquito nets in the windows, all of that stuff, right? It's suitable for a relocatee. And a couple of y'all was smart, right? There were 8 of the standard tiers. There's only 2 left. So a couple of you guys had pointed out, what if you want to do the bond ladder and the rapid relocation? You can do that. That's actually a really smart way to do it, that I hadn't even considered myself. So that way you will actually start getting the passive income payments from the Kenyan government, while you're waiting for like your year to expire. So it's actually a really smart way to do it. So yeah, that is available if you want to utilize that. Why in the world did TikTok just lose connectivity? Do we have an issue? Here we go. Huh. Give me just a second, guys. TikTok just went offline. There we go. Okay, we're back now. All right, sorry TikTok. Don't know what that was about, but you're back now. Yes, you can do that. So you do have the ability to do a bond ladder during rapid relocation. That is definitely on the table. Really, really, really smart idea, actually. So you can do a bond ladder with your rapid relocation, which would actually indicate to you how that bond ladder covers all of your, all of your financial needs, right? So that would actually be really, really smart, because then you would be here, your rent would be paid, but the bond ladder would actually pay for everything else. So your transportation, your food, all of that stuff. And then you would actually be able to see for a year. It'd be like testing it out for a year. You'd be able to see for a year how the bond ladder actually does take care of your expenses, as long as you have a place, right? As long as you either own a house, or you're willing to, pay for the rent some other way. And then so that would also indicate to you whether or not you wanted to increase the bond ladder, because you could do so. There are certain people who are like, the minimum bond ladder, I don't feel, whatever, comfortable with that. So I want to increase the bond ladder and, increase the amount of money I'm going to get per month by 25%, or increase the amount of money by 50%. There's even been some that increase it by 100%, right? They just doubled the bond ladder. So you can definitely do those kinds of things. But this would definitely be a pretty slick way to test out, bond ladder functionality. Really, really smart option, and it wasn't us that came up with it. It was you guys who came up with it. So, great question. That is the answer. Yes, you can do it. Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you still can. You still can. You can just onboard with us like regularly. and then come over, and we would still place you while your house was being built. So you can still do that. Those placements are typically in a separate place though. Like we have places set up for that. So if somebody does that, it doesn't utilize one of the rapid relocation placements. However, home builders do take priority. So if we run out of the home builder placements, then they would take the rapid relocation placements. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, well, no, we still have two, right? Yeah, yeah, we still have two of the standards. Yeah, we did have eight a few days ago. That's correct. Yeah, a lot of people are feeling strongly about getting the hell out of Dodge while this war stuff is happening, especially when, we're at war with a state that's known for sponsoring terrorist cells. So there's that. Ooh, ooh, I hear that. All is well. How's Texas today? Yeah. Well, I mean, six people are not that many people. Like you heard that six people like relocate their bombs got dropped. You're like that many people. I didn't say 6 million. But I'm sure it's not just me. I'm sure there's plenty of people, making their moves. But it's not that many people. Yeah, no, you're right. You've been paying attention. Yes, we did. I did think that we were down to one the other day, but the person who booked it never sent their wire, or their wire got caught up or whatever. So if their wire shows up, today or later tomorrow or something like that, then we'll be back down to one. But we don't count our chickens before they hatch. Before they hatch, we ain't got nothing but eggs. So so until that money shows up, there's two available. But yeah, it's good to know that you guys have been paying attention though. Yes, only one luxury available. Now, folks that can afford luxury, obviously, when that one luxury one is gone, we can go bespoke with them. So we can get them luxury anyway because, they're paying luxury prices for luxury stuff. So bespoke is always easy when you got, luxury clients. But there's one luxury that's set and ready to go. And then there's two standards left. How would the bond ladder work? The same way it normally would work, right? We would go ahead and set that bond ladder up for them. There is a rapid tier of bond ladder as well. Like we can go to the secondary market. It's called curated bond ladder. So we can go to the secondary market and like get exactly the bonds that we want, which costs more because there are brokers fees when you go to the secondary market, and there's no guarantee that the bonds that we want are going to be available on the secondary market. So we might not be able to curate the entire thing. But like a lot of people, they hear about the 18.46%, the Big Daddy bond, which just paid us last month, and they want that, right? Obviously, it's gone, and if they slept on it while it was around, or if they just didn't know about it, they missed it, right? So we can go to the secondary market and look for it, right? So if somebody, I don't know, their kid got sick, or they're they're injured or something, or they need to pay school fees or something. They got a car accident. I don't know. For some reason, they need money and they can't wait for the bond to mature. Then you can go to the secondary market and you can get liquidity for your bond before maturity. But when you do that, you typically lose. Like that's typically one of the only ways to lose money on a bond is to sell it before it matures. So you go to the secondary market. Yes, you can sell it before it matures. Yes, you can get liquidity on it, but you typically lose out. So it's typically people who like don't care about losing out because whatever is happening is so drastic that they just need the money. Kind of like a motivated seller selling their house type of thing. So we can go to the secondary market. The buyer doesn't lose. So that's why it's like a boutique thing for some of our high level clients that want what they want. We can go to the secondary market and try to get that. It will cost them a little bit more in brokerage fees and all of that, but then they get the rest of the bond up until maturity, right? It's the person that's selling the bond early that loses out. So if you have a bond ladder and something happens, it makes more sense, which I don't understand why these people don't do this, but it makes more sense to take a margin loan against the bond ladder, or at least one bond in the ladder, than it does to go to the secondary market. So I don't know if those folks just don't know. I don't know if it's not a good option for them somehow. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be a good option, but whatever. But for our folks, if they ever come to us, are like, I'm thinking about liquidity, I'm thinking about getting rid of one of the bonds in the bond ladder, we just send them to our bankers. Our bankers give them the same option that rich people get. They will give them a loan against their bonds, and then they can pay back that loan, or they cannot pay back that loan and give the bond to the bank. And typically all of them pay back the loan. Why? Because you're still getting the monthly income from the bond, right? Like you took a loan, you just put the bond up as collateral, but you have 5 more bonds that are paying you monthly as well. So if you're unable to pay it back, that would be a pretty extreme circumstance. So, and even if they did take that bond, you got the other 5. So there's that. Yes, yes, that is exactly how it works. Am I the am I the leader of the House of Dibole? I am the leader of the House of Dibole. That's an interesting question. Do you follow one of those social media groups? We only have one. I think there's only a House of Dibole on Facebook. But yes, I am the current patriarch of the House of Dibole. How do you form your own house? Huh. Those are some leading questions. Who are you? um, we are having a family constitution workshop at the end of this month. Thanks if you're just like tossing me, questions to plug myself. I appreciate that, I suppose. But we are having a family constitution workshop at the end of the month, and so that family constitution is the first way to officially establish your house. So you can establish your house via the family constitution. And then we were awarded a grant of arms. This is the official coat of arms. Real coat of arms have to be granted by a heraldic authority. So we were granted a coat of arms by the College of Arms of Kenya, the Kenyan College of Arms. So there are a bunch of different College of Arms. We wanted an African college, so we were awarded by the Kenyan College of Arms. There's the British College of Arms. I think there's a Canadian College of Arms. There's definitely a German, trying to think of the European ones. There's a German one, there's a Maltese one, there's a French one, and I feel like there are two French ones. I feel like there's one for France itself, and there's one for Monaco. I think Monaco has its own. So there are a bunch of different colleges that can grant real arms. If not, if it's some made up thing that you did yourself, then it's more of a sigil. It's not really a coat of arms. That's an interesting question. That's a deep question. So, what's the downside to faking it, to making your own thing and calling it a coat of arms? The downside happens to your heirs, not necessarily to you, right? So you might be cool with that. You might be cool with like, oh, we created our own pretty little picture and we're calling it our coat of arms, and that might work for you, right? You might be able to rationalize that and whatever, right? The issue becomes if you actually build a generational wealth family, your kids are going to display their coat of arms and they're going to talk about it to kids that are on their level, right? You're going to have them in, the best schools where people have coats of arms, schools where people understand patents of nobility and stuff like that. And as conversation gets going, eventually your kids are going to be exposed for frauds. And so the effect that that's going to have on their self-esteem, that you essentially lied to them their entire life, is, it's maybe something that you're not going to be able to bounce back from. So they'll take a hit to their self-esteem because they were perpetrating a lie, because I don't know, because you thought coat of arms was cool, so you decided to steal some. Like, I'd prefer to do everything the real way and make sure that everything I had was legitimate. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, and in those circles, being a fake is probably the worst thing you could possibly be. Really hard to live that down. Really, really hard to live that down. Like we have one of our generational wealth families, one of our original generational wealth families. They made their generational wealth trust fund about 12 years ago. One of our very first clients. Their kids, well, not their kids, their kid was just accepted into La Rose Academy, which is like the number one school in the world, damn near. So it was interesting because they had, and if we hadn't had, gone through us and gotten a legitimate coat of arms, they would have been exposed right then and there. And it's with them, like, oh, look at the fakes. They think they're one of us. This is just the way it goes down. And in that kind of, chivalristic, environment, if you're found to be a liar, it'll take you forever to kind of get your honor back. So don't do that to your kids to look cool or whatever. Just do the work and like earn it. I don't even know how you got me on that subject. We're talking about rapid relocation programs. This is what happens when you have, you know, multiple services that you render. Uh, Financial strategies for bond ladders and liquidity. Bond ladders give monthly liquidity, right? So if you want to, that's the point of the ladder instead of just a bond, right? So the bond ladder gives you monthly liquidity. If you need more liquidity than that, then you might want to go ahead and take a margin loan, or if you need to go to the secondary market and sell a bond, you can do that. Rarely do we recommend such a thing, but you can do it. It is possible. What about generational wealth trust funds? I'm not sure what it is you're asking. Let me turn on the light. Oh, well, no, it's because it's rapidly relocation, right? So, first of all, generational wealth trust funds would never need liquidity because who's taking the money out of them, right? We talk about this all the time. Generational wealth trust funds only work if you're not stealing from your kids, not messing with money, and you're letting it compound. So, why would a generational wealth fund need liquidity? Your money. If you have none that matters. Trust, right? So he carves it up according to your trust deed and puts the percentages wherever according to your trust deed and puts the percentages wherever you want them. The percentages wherever you want them, right? So, for example, like if you said, I want 20% invested in real estate, I want 20% invested in Bitcoin, I want 20% invested in gold, I want 20% in the stock market, and 20%, held as cash on hand to handle anything that might be needed, cash. That's what the trustee is going to do. He's not going to exercise his own judgment. He's going to do what you ordered him to do. That's the point of the trust, right? So that's what will end up happening in that generational wealth, trust fund, and it'll compound over those 20 years of maturity. It'll compound both the bond ladder and the additional investments that the trust has made. And at the end of the 20 years, we've seen people who are on track to turn, like $5,000 into like $1.2 million, right? Because you have all that compounding happening inside the trust. So that's how that works. But it's for the next generation. It's not meant for you. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Good question. Kenya is a good country to live in if you have a source of income. I'm pretty sure that is every country. I can't think of any countries that are good to live in if you're broke. But yeah, Kenya's pretty good. I love it here. But yeah, you definitely want to plan though. But I don't think, I don't think. Sometimes people act like it's this crazy, burden, right? Or like this crazy, level to hit. And it's like, what country do you live in where you can have nothing, no money at all, you have no income at all, and it's like paradise? Like, I want to go there. If that's the case, like, where's that at? So it's like every country you need something going on. The beautiful thing about Kenya and places like it is with things like a bond ladder, you can move to Kenya and stop working and still have a source of income. So that's one of the biggest things for our clients is that oftentimes once they get the bond ladder going, they can quit their job and then they get 20 years of passive income from the Kenyan government to live off of, and they're good to go. So like that's a bit of a hack and a bit of a flex. But I mean, you're gonna need money to live no matter where you're living, right? It's still hard to wrap my head around that. Not really. If you just change it from shillings to dollars, it makes all the sense in the world, right? So when you do a bond ladder, there's inside the bond ladder, there's 6 million shillings at play, right? So now turn that into dollars. If I bought $6 million worth of bonds, could you quit your job and live off of the payments? If those bonds are paying out every single month based on the way that we strategically laddered them so that their payments came out, in different months of the year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. If you were getting 10%, which is our floor, that's the minimum that we target, right? So if your minimum ROI was 10%, okay, and you had a million in each bond, and you were getting 10%, and that bond paid out twice a year. So it paid out half of its 10% every 6 months. What would you be getting? 50,000. You'd be getting 50,000 a month. Can you live on 50,000 a month? Can you live on 50,000 a month here? Do any of our clients actually get 50,000 a month? Everybody gets more than that. right? That's our minimum target, but we've never actually hit the minimum. We've always been 2, 3, 4, even 5 points above that. Yeah, as soon as you, and that's the thing. What you're doing is you're currency hacking, right? If you had the 6 million in dollars, you'd be in the same situation as you are with the 6 million here in shillings. But 6 million in shillings isn't even $100,000, right? So it's a whole different ball game. So you're just currency hacking. But the only way to properly currency hack is to currency hack into a place that gives you the proper lifestyle, right? Because if you're going to currency hack and lose lifestyle, then what's the point? So you got to currency hack in a country where you maintain the lifestyle. Well, yeah, that's why the rapid relocation program is a good test for people. Like if put a bond ladder on it, because the most effective way to live off the bond ladder is to make sure that you have housing. If you don't have housing, then you really can't do it. So if you don't have housing, you can do it, but the like your rent will eat the bond ladder essentially, right? So like if you're in Nairobi, Nairobi's too expensive, right? So in Nairobi, it's you're basically just going to pay your rent with the bond ladder. When you come down here to the beach, though, if you own a house and you don't have, that overhead that would come with renting something, then the bond ladder covers everything. Like everybody who's on a bond ladder doesn't need to work. Some people still keep their jobs, right? But everyone who's on a bond ladder has reported that like the bond ladder could cover them here, probably not in Nairobi. It depends on Mombasa. We do have some folks in Mombasa where the bond ladder is basically covering everything, even though they're in Mombasa. And again, it depends on whether you own a house or whether you're renting. Way type of fee forever in an apartment that you say like that they say that you own, blah 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 blah. No, you got to own where you don't pay nothing, right? You don't have any additional bills anymore because you own. Then even in Nairobi, it actually works. We have one client who inherited a house, like their parents were Kenyan, and so they actually have a house they own where they're not paying any special fees, up there in Nairobi County on the outskirts. And they did a bond ladder, and it actually is covering everything. So the price of paying rent in Nairobi is what throws it off. But yeah, if you have the rapid relocation program, that's 1 year, no rent. Either if you have the luxury one by living on the beach, like on the sand or on the beach, or if you have the regular one, living like 5 away from the beach, right? And then that gives you a house for a year. So then you get to see, oh, okay, the bond ladder does work. Happens if the year is up and you don't choose to stay. Yet it's still your investment, right? You're still going to get paid monthly no matter where you go. There have been people who like they moved back home because their parents got sick and they got to go take care of them. They're still getting the money every month, right? It's they bought a bond, right? So no matter where they go, that money is theirs. That investment is theirs. They're still gonna, benefit from that investment, and they could sell it on the secondary market. Like I said, typically when you sell on the secondary market, you lose, but they could if they wanted to. But yeah, they'll still get paid on that. They could also cash out via loans. Like they get to take loans against each bond, and if they get favorable enough terms, and they know that they're walking away, they could take loans against each of those bonds and then walk away, and then allow the bank to take the bonds because maybe they don't want them anymore. So there's that as well. Hi, is this program only in Kenya? Just join the lines. Our law firm is only licensed to do law in Kenya. So we only really provide options in Kenya, but the, the the premise is sound anywhere. There's just some factors that all have to come together. So one of the factors is the cost of living has to be just right. The other factor is the ROI on the bond ladders has to be just right. So like right now we're getting incredible ROI on bond ladders out here. So we're getting bonds out here that have anywhere between 12% and 18% guaranteed return on investment annually by the government. That's outstanding, right? And so that needs to be in play, right? If you got a bond in America right now, you'd only get 4%. You can't do nothing with no 4%, right? So all of those like little factors have to come together to the point where you could say, okay, I'm going to buy a bond ladder and I'm just going to move to this country, quit my job, and be able to live the next 20 years off the bond ladder, right? So, yes, in theory, it could work elsewhere, but it has to be a perfect storm. All those things have to come together. Yeah, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Any other questions on that before I go? My son wants to go to the beach for sunset. It is sunset now. And my son does not forget. Dada, you said you were going to take me to the beach. Luckily, I just have to walk across the street. Anything else? All right. I just wanted to pop on quick, chop it up with you guys. It's been about 40 minutes. Um, Check out YouTube. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Karibu, Kenya, Jen. Check out YouTube for there. We're doing right now like series show style stuff, and it's like topic by topic by topic. And they're short. They're like or maybe 30 max. So check that out if you need any more information. If you want to do an assessment and see if you qualify for immigration to Kenya, or merger acquisition, or generational wealth, just go over to the website. These are all of these live streams are all business live streams. So our website is in the bio. Just go ahead to the website and take the assessment, see what you qualify for. All right, guys, I will see you later. And let me think. I will actually be on probably tonight Eastern Standard Time around 10 or 11. All right, see you guys later.